Hi, everybody. What is up, and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, and this is Crime Time, where I sit down and I talk about some true crime. I know, just very simple. So today we're going to be talking about the Robison Family Murders, and this was also they had another name. This was referred to as the Good Heart Murders, and these were a set of mass murders of the Robison family. So in total, it was 6 people that were murdered. This was an upper middle class family from the Detroit area of Lathrop Village, Michigan. They they were shot and killed while vacationing at their Lake Michigan cottage, and this happened just north of Good Heart, Michigan. Hence why it's called the Good Heart Murders. Yeah, yeah. So, and this is a little bit of an older case. Yeah. So let's just dive straight into this murder. So the murders began with 5 gunshots that were aimed at Richard, and they were fired near a window from a 22 caliber semi-automatic rifle. So then the perpetrator entered the cottage through an unlocked door and killed the remaining 5 people with shots to the head with the 25 caliber semi-automatic pistol. Susan and Richard were also bludgeoned with a hammer that was also found at the crime scene. So Susan is one of the children. Now, Shirley, that is Richard's wife. Her body was posed in an intentional way so that when the crime scene was discovered, it would lead police to think that she was sexually assaulted or that the crime was part of a sexual assault. There was bloody footprints found on the floor, and this led investigators to believe that it was only one person that committed these murders. Their bodies were not discovered for 27 days, and because of the way that the crime scene was, it put the bodies into an advanced state of decomposition. So, if you don't understand how the body decomposes with like natural gases in the air or heat or cold, if you leave a body inside of a room with no air circulation, windows are closed, none of that. If there's a body in there, because of no airflow, the room will on its own heat up. Some gross stuff is going to happen. Decomp is going to start because of the natural heat in the air. It's going to advance the decomp in a way that it'll look like you've been dead longer in a sense, and there will be more bug activity. Not if you I don't mean to gross you out. There are certain things that people don't discuss when it comes to these crimes. And no, I'm not trying to be super vulgar with how these people died and what happened to their bodies, but it's important for people to understand that things like this get overlooked, especially when they're being investigated. And then when people talk about them, they also don't bring this up. So that's why I do, like my Lady of the Dunes case, why I brought up the way, like, you can literally, I still can, like, hear thinking about what they heard that day with the insect activity. It can be disturbing, but it's not just interesting, but it's very important to know. So, since they weren't discovered for 27 days, the second week of investigating, and it started on Monday, July 22nd of 1968. The Michigan State Police and Emmett County authorities suspected that one of Richard's employees, Joseph Scalaro, they thought that he was involved. He hadn't been seen or heard for more than 12 hours on the day of the murders. He did have it, like, he gave an alibi, but they couldn't prove that it actually was good. And he also purchased weapons that were tested, like forensically tested, and determined that they were used in the Robison family murders, specifically a 25 caliber Jetfire automatic Beretta and a 22 caliber AR-7 Armalite semi-automatic rifle. There was 422 caliber spent shells found at the crime scene, and they were compared to ballistics markings to several caliber evidence shells known to have been fired by Scalaro at a family firing range in 1967. So if you didn't know that, they keep track of what you do with guns. If you didn't know that, not to like freak you out if you are a gun user or anything like that. Sorry, I'm getting warm. You can enjoy my Smashing Pumpkins shirt. Yeah. So. Yeah, the two sets of shells were an exact match. And basically, Scalaro admitted that he gave the gun away, but a neighbor told police that they saw that same rifle in Scalaro's home not long before the Robison family was murdered. Yeah, so the Beretta was missing, which he also claimed to police that he had given away prior to June 25th of 1968. And that is the actual day that these murders occurred. So basically, that Beretta, they took spent shell casings that he, used at the firing range, and they matched them with the ones that were found at the scene. They were completely identical, and both guns he purchased on February 2nd of 1968. Also found at the crime scene were several Seiko 25 caliber spent cartridges, and this is a rare Finnish brand. Now, this was only sold for a limited time in a few weeks in Michigan, and it was only sold between January and February of 1968. And this, obviously, that happened prior to the murders. It was also documented that one of the actual few Seiko ammunition purchasers in Michigan had been Joseph Scalaro. So they had proof that he had these things. So his statements basically turned into trash, and they were sure that he was just trying to obstruct the investigation of the crime in order to figure out a way for him to get away. So this investigation ended up being a very lengthy one, but it was determined that there was also about $60,000 missing from two of Richard's combined businesses. So the two businesses had been left in the care of Scalaro prior to the murders. So when the Robison family went on vacation, this is when Joseph was in charge. And somehow this money went missing. Well, they then determined that he's the sole perpetrator of this mass murder. But here's the thing. In mid-1970, January 1970, the Emmett County prosecutor, his name is Donald Noggle, he decides to not bring charges against Joseph. And he does this because the two weapons are missing and there's an absence of his fingerprints at the crime scene. So they have all of the other forensics details, like matching the guns, and that he bought them, but they don't have the murder weapons and they don't have his fingerprints. So during the investigation as well, they had Joseph do lie detector tests, and he failed two of them. There was a third that was done, but it was inconclusive. It was also noted that he tried to deceive the polygraph interviewer in his pretest. So about 4 years later, the newly elected chief prosecutor for Oakland County, his name is L. Brooks Patterson, believed that the Robison crime had originated with his jurisdiction, and he decided to reopen it. So when Joseph learned about impending charges in a warrant for his arrest, he committed suicide on March 8th of 1973. Joseph did leave behind a typewritten note saying, I am a liar, a cheat, and a phony, with a list of people that he swindled and he schemed. He also added a handwritten note to his mother on the same piece of paper saying that I had nothing to do with the Robisons. I'm a liar, but not a murderer. I'm scared and sick. God and everyone, please forgive me. So since Michigan law will not allow you to close, well, how should I put this in the right way? So since they don't permit an open murder case to officially be closed, the suicide of Joseph has placed the case as in putting it in an inactive state, and many questions are unanswered. Over the years, there's different theories that have emerged about this case, but nothing has ever been substantiated. Only the people that really knew Mr. Robinson were quoted in the 2 police reports filed on this case, saying that they had never known a better family man, a friend, and business partner. So he was well liked, and this case, even though they're pretty sure that Joseph Scalaro is the one that murdered this family, they can't prove it because they've never found the murder weapons, and there's no other familial DNA that ties Joseph Scalaro to the scene, and he committed suicide. So that, my friends, is the Robison Family Murders, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.